Both Ichigo and Clark would stand on guard as the two brothers faced off against one of the captains of the Gotei 13, Kenpachi Zaraki, captain of Squad 11. However, much to their surprise, Kenpachi wasn't making a move. Rather, he had left himself open, inviting for both of the boys to attack him, giving them the first strike. Ichigo, of course, had qualms with the idea of fighting someone unarmed or not putting up a proper defense. However, Kenpachi would rebuke such ideas, stating that it would take a lot more than their combined efforts to leave any real lasting damage. This handicap was for their benefit, and that if they had any real idea of escaping or surviving this encounter, they need to throw out those petty notions of chivalry in battle, because those pleasantries wouldn't get them very far. Ichigo still wasn't on board with it, but much to his surprise, Clark was. Let's be honest here, Ichigo. This guy's dangerous. I can only feel a small fraction of the power he's giving off, but he's not going to be easy to beat. So what are you suggesting? It's not really my style, but we need to go in an all-out assault against this guy. By any means, we just need to overpower him and take him down. The sooner we do that, the sooner we can get out of here and get to Rukia. Alright, I'll follow your lead. You go in for the fatal strike, and I'll go in for the slash. Got it. The two brothers would raise their spiritual pressure, bringing out the true essence of their Ryatsu. For Kenpachi, he could tell that these boys were easily capable of taking on the lieutenants of the Gotei 13. That much was certain. It was no wonder why they had been able to get past the likes of Ikkaku and others. It all made sense now. But even after all that, for Kenpachi, nothing had changed. Clark would be the first one to charge in. As he jumped into the air, he raised both arms forward as he went flying straight towards Kenpachi, landing a right hook straight to the gut as he ducked low, allowing for Ichigo to go in for a slash with his Zanpakuto. They had believed that the punch and slash combination would have been enough to stun and mortally wound him. But, to Ichigo and to Clark's dismay, their attacks had done absolutely nothing. Is that it? Kenpachi would ask. Is that really the best that you both can do? This couldn't be. They knew they had put their all into that attack, and yet he was able to shrug it off like it was nothing. Sure, maybe one-on-one they probably couldn't have done all that much, but together they should have at least been able to land a scratch. Let me fill you in on a little secret, boys. When two spiritual pressures collide with one another, the stronger, more dominant force will absorb the weaker ones. Even in a 2-on-1, a 3-on-1, hell, 4, 5, 10-on-1, 10 weaklings are still weaklings, no matter how much you try to put them together. In the end, your powers just can't connect with mine. It gets absorbed. The slash of your Zanpakuto, it might as well be a feather. And same for your punches, if that's all you can put up against me. For both of the boys, they felt the killing intent in the aura of Kenpachi. His spiritual pressure, it felt like the Grim Reaper was around both of their necks, holding a sword to their throats ready to slit it, to embrace them into the clutches of death. This was a fight to the death. There was no way of getting around it. They had seen some powerful forces in this short period of time. But to actually come face to face against someone of this magnitude, and someone who reveled in that power, the power of being absolute, the absolute certainty that facing this person was guaranteed death, like a mountain that couldn't be traversed around or below or any other means. You either had to climb it or die trying. For Ichigo and Clark, they'd have no choice but to retreat. Within the maze of the area that they were in, they would both go in separate directions, hoping that they could try to throw off Kenpachi and come up with another plan of attack. It was just then, though, that they felt the spiritual aura of Chad beginning to fade and dissipating to almost nothingness. Both Ichigo and Clark could sense it, but who could have gone up against Chad and won? They knew that he needed their help. They had to get out of here, but they couldn't. Kenpachi was still in the way. For Ichigo, he kept remembering the training that he had from Urahara, remembering that in order to win, he had to move forward. Moving forward was the only option. There was no retreat. They were now in the heart of the lion's den. There was no way of escaping from the predator that was chasing after them, of the being that wanted their lives. There was no amount of running or flying that could allow them to escape. They were either going to have to face this monster head on or be destroyed. For Ichigo, he held up his Zanpakuto as it collided with the blade of Kenpachi. However, this created an opening that Clark needed as he came rocketing in behind Kenpachi and slamming into his back, knocking him through various walls before finally slamming him into the ground. Ichigo would follow it up as he started channeling his Ryatsu once again. "I have to remember," Ichigo said. "I have to remember why we're here. We're here to save Rukia. We stand together, protect each other, watch each other's backs. I promised that no one was going to die here. And I'll be damned if I'm going to be made a liar. I'm not going to allow anyone to die. No one's going to die here. No one except you." Kenpachi managed to get up and turn to see Ichigo jumping in midair with his blade held up. "You want to fight to the death? Fine. But remember, you asked for this. Now, Zangetsu!" Ichigo would manage to slash through the chest of Kenpachi Zaraki as he channeled the full extent of his power into his Zanpakuto. For Clark, he got behind Ichigo and added as much force as he could for good measure, believing that this was their chance to take him down. However, much to Ichigo's shock and horror, his Zanpakuto would break in half, as Kenpachi would take his blade and break through it with ease before stabbing through Ichigo. "Oh no, Ichigo! Why you? I wouldn't be so worried about your brother right now. I'd be more focused on my own survival. How many times do I have to say it? That weak shit ain't gonna work around here, kid. It's kill or be killed. Your brother was the first to try, and he ended up on the receiving end of my blade. I don't even need to use a Bankai or a Shikai. It's all a waste of time. Borrowed power. Pathetic. This power, I obtained on my own. I fought in so many fights. I've lost count of how many I've been in. Each slash, each scar, it's built me into the man I am today. I thought it was cute, you two fighting in tandem. Thought it would give you both a real shot. Well, safe to say, 2-on-1 wasn't going to work. And unfortunately for you, it's a 1-on-1. So what are you gonna do, Kryptonian? You gonna man up? Or are you gonna fall to the wayside? It doesn't really matter. Because in the end, we already know how this story goes. It ends with you dying at my feet. Is that right? Clark said, as he looked to Kenpachi with a new sense of anger. I can forgive a lot. I'm not like my brother. I'm not hot-headed. And honestly, I don't clamor for violence. To be honest with you, I hate it. I see so many people die every day. So many people who lose their lives for stupid and arbitrary reasons. And then there's people like you, bloodthirsty behemoths who don't know anything else except for combat and pain. Death is the only language that you can speak, and you speak it rather fluently. Well, let me tell you something. I hate my existence. Do you know what it's like to live every day around people who seem like they're made out of glass? I almost hurt my own sister once because I gave her a hug that was a little too tight. I hate it. I hate it so much. But I've never had a justifiable reason to use my power. Until now. You want my full strength? Fine. You can have it. Now. Subarashi! Soar! Clark's spiritual aura would begin to rise all around him as he clashed with Kenpachi, who held up his blade to block one of Clark's punches. That's what I'm talking about, kid. Show me what you got. Gladly! As Clark would engage with Kenpachi. In the meantime, Ichigo lied on the ground bleeding out, watching his brother fight in vain against Kenpachi. At the same time, he saw Zangetsu walking towards him, the very essence of his own blade given form. The straggly man dressed in black approached him and asked, "Do you want to fight? Do you want to win? Or do you want to live?" Zangetsu, what do you desire, Ichigo? I want to win. Very well then. They would be transported to Ichigo's inner world. But Ichigo would not be holding to his signature blade. Instead, Zangetsu would throw to him a standard sword known as a Asuchi. Where's my... Are you talking about this? Zangetsu said, holding up the broken Zanpakuto as he threw it off the edge of the building that they were standing on. Ichigo went to race for it, but he was beaten to the punch. As someone that looked exactly like him, a being made of white, would quickly dash to the blade and take it for himself. Now, Ichigo, Where do you go thinking that you're worthy of holding a blade like this? Who are you? Oh, you don't have to worry about who I am. It's about who you are. I'm the you that can get the job done. A shame that I'm not out there, though. You're weak, pathetic. You're as useless as the blade you wield. What? The Asuchi. The blade with no name. A Zanpakuto for those who can't even call on the name of the blade that they wield. Why would I have a nameless blade? I know the name of my Zanpakuto. It's Zangetsu. Shut up. Don't go speaking that name in vain. You don't even know what it means. What are you talking about? Zangetsu. It's the name of my Zanpakuto. And what good is a name if you don't know the man behind it? Tell me something. Can you really be friends with someone if you just know their name? Is that enough? Oh, you can just call on their name and that's it. Shallow is what you are, Ichigo. Shallow. You don't understand the first thing about your blade. A Zanpakuto is more than just a weapon. It's your very essence. It's a piece of you. But you don't realize it. It's not enough just to know the name of a Zanpakuto. You must know more than that. Your Zanpakuto should be your better half. Someone that sticks with you through thick and thin. If you can't depend on anyone else, you should be able to depend on your Zanpakuto. But you have not done that. Zangetsu, what is it to you? Just a sword? A tool? Something you can keep in handy? A get-out-of-jail-free card? Don't make me laugh. If you think screaming out that name is enough to give you power, then you are pathetic, Ichigo, and you are not worthy to wield Zangetsu. Ichigo and inner Ichigo would battle as Zangetsu watched the both of them. You know my name, and you cry out to me, but yet your voice does not reach me. And nor has my voice reached yours. Zangetsu! I'm trying. I want to. What do you want, Ichigo? I want to win. Do you really? Do you really want to win? Or are these mere words as well? The power has always been within you. The power to achieve your goal. Victory has always been within reach. All you have to do is call out to me. Depend on me. I am not a tool. Not a tool. A friend. You are me, and I am you. I'm sorry, Zangetsu. I've been foolish, using your power in vain. For that error, I have sinned greatly. But please, I can't leave my brother out there alone. If just for one time, please, lend me your power, Zangetsu. Instantly, the blades of the two Ichigos would switch, as the real Ichigo and the inner Ichigo had traded places, and Ichigo had regained Zangetsu. I will help you, Ichigo. Together we can win. You and your brother, you understand the truth that Kenpachi simply cannot. We will show him what it truly means to wield a Zanpakuto. As Ichigo would awaken, Kenpachi had Clark on the back foot as he grabbed him by the cape with his one free arm and whirled him around before slamming him into the ground itself. He raised his blade, ready to impale him. Ichigo would move in at the last moment, kicking away at Kenpachi before raising up his brother. I knew you wouldn't die so easily. Yeah, of course not. We don't have any plans on dying here now, do we? We made a promise. Yeah, you're right. Does it call out to you? Of course it does, Clark would say. I'm still having time trying to accept it all. But it's coming to me. We can take him out in one final strike. We have to move as one. In one hand, Ichigo held up his Zanpakuto, and he reached his other hand for Clark that took it. Their hands interlocking, their spiritual pressure beginning to accumulate, their Ryatsu beginning to resonate. The aura of blue and red swirling around them both to create the new aura of purple. So they're starting to harmonize their Ryatsu together. This could get troublesome. In that moment, Ichigo and Clark both could peer into one another's souls, seeing the essence of their Zanpakuto as Subarashi and Zangetsu would finally meet. They are powerful together, Zangetsu would say. United as one, they cannot be defeated. We will fight as one. Together, we move as one body, one spirit, one voice, united. Ichigo, Clark, Kurosaki. Do not forsake yourself. Fight as one. Call out our names. Let our power run through you. Right. Here we go. Zangetsu. Now soar. Subarashi. All right. This is for all the marbles, kid. It's time to cut down your pathetic teamwork once and for all. Your power, borrowed power. It's pathetic. Pathetic, you hear me? There is only one power in this world that matters. Your own. Your own strength, your own determination, your own blood, your own sweat, and your own tears. We're born into this world alone, and when we die, we will die alone. The power I have, it's not from a damn Zanpakuto. I don't need to call out anyone's name. I don't need anyone to watch my back, because I'm strong enough to do it on my own. I will cut through you both. You will fall at my feet, and I will show you who is superior. So bring it! The two forces would finally collide. The combined Ryatsu of Ichigo and Clark combined into their final attack that collided against the might of Kenpachi Zaraki. An explosion would then occur as Yachiru, Kenpachi's lieutenant, would rush over to Kenny's side. There, Kenpachi lied in a crater, hardly able to move his body at all. And for Ichigo and Clark, they were both knocked down respectively as well. In spite of everything they had done, perhaps, at least on Clark's part, they were still holding back. Because in the end, even if they fought with the intent to kill, they did not have the heart of a killer. It just wasn't in them. Yachiru would cry over Kenny's body, and Clark would apologize for what they did to him. But she would assure them that there was no need to apologize, because they gave Kenny the fight of his life. And for that, she was grateful. Not even a moment later, Yoruichi would arrive, taking both Clark and Ichigo away to recover. Even for Yoruichi, the cat was surprised by how much effort it had taken on both their parts to fight with Kenpachi to a stalemate. But even more astounding, they had managed to come out victorious. About 2 days later, Ichigo and Clark would awaken in a secret hideout. They had been patched up by Yoruichi, who had told both of the boys to take it slow. The fact that they were able to recover as quickly as they did was nothing short of a miracle. Once they had awoken, Yoruichi would bring them up to speed on what had happened, as well as bringing up another troublesome side effect of their battle with Kenpachi. It was something that Ichigo had been holding on to. A mask. Ichigo had kept it as a good luck charm after his battle with Kisuke, but for some reason he thought he had lost it. But whenever he felt that way, it always ended up reappearing on him. Ichigo didn't really seem bothered by it, and he felt no reason to get rid of it, but Yoruichi was adamant in keeping the mask. And Yoruichi made it very clear to Ichigo that he was not to try to get it back. Ichigo wasn't sure of why Yoruichi was so gung-ho on keeping it, but feeling the intense aura coming from the cat, he had no intentions on arguing with it. Although both he and Clark were curious as to how the cat managed to carry them all this way. To which Yoruichi would reveal that the cat form was not its human form at all. In a quick puff of smoke, what stood before them? A woman. A rather beautiful woman. A very beautiful woman. A very beautiful woman who was naked. Both Ichigo and Clark would avert their eyes as they passionately asked for Yoruichi to put on some clothes. Of course, for Yoruichi, she enjoyed teasing the both of them, even offering them to have another look. After all, life is short and you never know. You might not get another chance to see a woman that beautiful ever again, assuming you don't die, of course. But they were adamant they had seen, in that brief moment, all that they needed to see. As Yoruichi would clothe herself, she would then explain to them the extent of the situation. The last they had heard, Ganju, Haruto, and Lois were making their way to Rukia's cell. And for Ichigo and Clark, they knew they had to catch up to them as soon as possible, which could not have been understated even more. It all started when Ganju, Hanataro, and Lois had finally made their way to the Tower of Repentance. There, Hanataro would be able to open up the cell door for Rukia, and they were finally able to get her out. Of course, there would be some misgivings after all, since Ganju, recognizing who Rukia was instantly, knew her as the Soul Reaper that killed his older brother. And, even worse, as they were trying to make their escape, who should appear but two captains, Byakuya Akutsuki and John Jones. Of course, Ganju knew that in a 2-on-1, it was virtually a death sentence for him. But honestly, outside of himself, he couldn't have trusted for anyone else to put up a fight against these two. At least, not a meaningful fight. Lois was shaking. Sure, she had the powers of the H-dial, and she would even say that she was becoming more adept at using them, but outside of fighting low-level Soul Reapers and the occasional low-ranking Hollow, she knew all too well that if she were to fight against the captain, she would die. You never really think about death until it's staring you in the face. The concept of life and death, something that so often is overplayed and underestimated. All your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, all of them flash before your eyes when you suddenly realize that you're in the presence of people who could take all of that away. Or worse. With hands trembling, Lois took hold of the H-dial, trying to concentrate and focus on which hero she should call upon. 1, number 2, or 3. 4 was her fastest one, but would it be fast enough to get her out of this situation? Ultimately, Lois would decide to go with number 7. As she clicked on the 7 button, then the pound button, followed by flicking the transformation switch on the side of the dial, she immediately transformed into a ninja? Rukia was all too confused by all of this. The last time she knew, Lois didn't have any powers at all. But now the girl was radiating Ryatsu. She had some weird phone dial looking thingamajig. She clicked the number and then flicked it on, and now she was transformed into a ninja? I didn't even know you could do that, Ganju would say. As Lois was trying to make sense of her new powers, she found herself in another plane of existence. It was a dark, empty space, and within the recesses of her mind, she walked in shallow waters with lamps illuminating her pathway. As she made her way to what appeared to be a giant cell, a cage for something like a large beast, except the cell door was open. Don't make a single move. Oh, okay. I surrender. Wait, don't. Who are you? I'm Lois. I'm Lois Lane. Lois Lane. No need to kill me. It's just that who? Turn around slowly. Lois turned to see someone holding a kunai to her neck. A boy dressed in blue and orange with 3 cat-like whiskers on both sides of his cheeks and blonde hair and a strange headband and a large plant-like monster behind him. Who are you? Naruto Uzumaki. And who the hell are you? I've said I'm Lois Lane, and it's just, I don't know a Lois Lane. I don't know why you're here. How are you even able to get into this plane of existence? It's complicated, you know. I'm just trying to say, you've only got but 1 second to uncomplicate it. Okay, look. Magic, okay? It's magic. It's magic. Magic? What type of magic? How are you even able to... Look, I don't have time to explain. All you need to know is I have a superpower that lets me tap into other people's powers in other worlds, apparently, and this seems to be yours. So I need to borrow your power for a little bit. Borrow my power? Yes, please, I need to borrow your power. Look, my friend is going to die if I don't do something. I have to do something. Please, let me borrow your power. Kodama, is she lying? No, she speaks the truth, though I cannot fully understand this power. How much of it can she even handle? In the current form she's in, I would say even more than you. What the hell? How can she handle your power more than me? Her body is no longer mortal, but spirit. She could take on a great deal of my power. Is there anything we can do for her? We can guide her movements, but it will still be up to her. What exactly are we up against? Naruto would ask. Soul Reapers. Soul Reapers. Soul Reapers, yes. Like, you know, the guys that show up, collect souls, Soul Reapers. What the? Is this anything like the Reaper Death Seal? In a way of speaking, they are akin to the Shinigami. You mean like the Reaper Death God Shinigami? Yes and no. Hold up, you guys have Shinigami too? Lois would ask. Kinda, yes, no. My dad summoned one on the night of my birth to help seal this thing inside of me before he died. So, yeah, take that however you will. Okay, I just need help fighting. Yeah. Come on, let's go. Lois would now awaken back in the real world as Ganju would stand on guard against Byakuya and John Jones as they came approaching. She would tell for Ganju to back up as she clasped both their hands together. Ninja art! Deep forest cage! Immediately, the wooden bridge that they were on would begin to morph and change as multiple tree limbs would appear, trapping Byakuya and John Jones inside of a wooden cage, being held together with the strength of her Ryatsu and the newfound power source of chakra that ran through her body. All right, we've got him distracted just long enough. Let's grab Ruka and let's get out of here. Before they even had a chance to, though, Byakuya would slice through the cage as they went charging directly towards them. Ganju would take the brunt against Byakuya as he would take the slash to the chest, attempting to hold him in place and kick him back. Not every day you get to fight against the Akutsuki family. So you know of my household. Of course, you're speaking to that of the Shiba. So you hail from the Shiba clan. Then I have no reason to hold back against you. Young child, John Jones would say, I do not wish to take your life in meaningless combat, but I cannot allow you to leave with Rukia Akutsuki. If you do not stand down, you will be forced down. John Jones would remove his blade from his sheath. He doubted he would even need to use his Shikai. His power alone would be more than sufficient to entangle with her. As he raised his blade, Lois would pull out a kunai from her shuriken pouch as the two blades would collide together. Lois would then start to use her wood release to use binding branches to wrap around the legs of John Jones before she would back away and then summon the full might of Kodama as her body was entangled in vines and other plant-like rope as she began to grow larger and larger in size. A fist of Kodama, the Swamp Thing, would come crashing down onto John Jones. However, he would respond in kind as he lifted his blade, and that on the flat side was able to catch the giant plant-like fist and push her back with ease. He didn't want to do it, but with no choice, cutting her down quickly would be the most efficient and most humane way of dealing with the Ryoka. But before he got a chance to, and before Byakuya could cut down Ganju, both Ichigo and Clark would arrive. Ichigo catching the blade of Byakuya, and Clark the blade of John Jones. Rukia was surprised to see that they were both this advanced so quickly. Ichigo was able to keep track with Byakuya's flash step, and Clark the same with Jean. As they backed away, the two boys were ready for this final encounter. All they had to do was win out right here and now. They could just grab Rukia and go. It'd all be done in one fell swoop. But before they had a chance to, Yoruichi would step in. Against her orders, the two boys had left. She knew better than anyone that at where they were in that moment in time, they were not capable of winning this fight. So, at her discretion, she pulled them back, along with Lois. Ganju would be taken to a holding cell along with Hanataro, and for Rukia, she would be returned to her cell. It was brief, and for Rukia, it sparked the sense of hope that she had lost. But she knew ultimately, whatever power they had gained in the short term, it wouldn't be enough. Not against the likes of her brother, or against John Jones. And why they were there? Because a final decree had been given. As for Clark and Ichigo, they didn't appreciate being pulled out of the fight ceremoniously like that. They had believed they had more than enough in their capabilities of getting Rukia away. But Yoruichi would scold them both, alerting them to the undeniable truth that while they had gotten stronger, they were nowhere near the level of John Jones or Byakuya. The only chance they had was to elevate their Zanpakutos to the next level. In order to do that, they would have to evolve, and in a short period of time, to the next stage of their training. They would have to learn to master Bankai. And with the arrival of an unexpected guest in the form of Renji, they would be given even more dire news. Because Rukia's execution date had been moved up once again. No longer did they have 14 days to train and hone their skills. But now the time had been reduced to only 3. In just 3 days' time, Rukia Akutsuki would be executed. This was the final decree. This concludes Bleach Legacy, What If Superman Was in Bleach, Season 2, Part 6. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned tomorrow as we will continue with Bleach Legacy, What If Superman Was in Bleach, Season 2, Part 7. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you.